What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update. We're going to look into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news, and we're going to start off with Sammy Motbell's update on Spurs injuries. And he says Tottenham defender Mickey van der Ven is expected to miss the game versus Man United amid ongoing concerns over his hamstring injuries. However, brighter news on Brennan Johnson, Vicario, Maddison, Udogie and Odegaard are currently rated as possible returners for the game this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if we can get some clarity on Van der Ven, because, Aaron's saying he wasn't re-injured, and it's become, very apparent that he must be re-injured, because why is he missing all these games and why is he out for all this time if it's not an injury? It can't just be they're keeping him on ice for this long. So it's very, very frustrating, that whole situation with Van der Ven. We obviously saw him come back in at Elfsborg for 45 minutes, and now he's out again. Yeah, he's out again. So yeah, I really hope it's not going to keep him out to the end of the season, but it's just very, very a frustrating situation why this keeps happening, and that's something we're going to have to really look into. And also we might have to consider whether he's a player we can rely on going forward, because at this point he just keeps getting injured and seems to be no let up in that. But obviously great news on the other players. Let's see what condition they come back in. I'm sure we'll hear from Ange tomorrow about who's in what kind of condition and kind of that kind of stuff, and it will be great for some of the players who've been out on their feet to get some help. And obviously the free midweek as well that we've had to get that rest will help the players in general anyway, so let's hope we have a big performance on Sunday.
And it's also concerning about Couto Romero. I mean, no sign of any word about him regarding his return. Well, we saw him in training 3 weeks ago now, maybe even longer. So massively concerning about Van der Ven and Romero. But in terms of these other players, when you're talking about Vicario, Johnson, Maddison, Udogie and Odegaard, I saw another report with Timo Werner added to that as well. It'll be a major boost to get a significant amount of players back. Samuel also says that Andoni Iraola is expected to be towards the top of Tottenham's shortlist if Ange Postecoglou was to depart. If Postecoglou was to get sacked at the end of the season, what would your opinions be on Iraola?
Yeah, I like Iraola. He's done a fine job this season at Bournemouth and last season as well. Once he got to grips with the Premier League, he was great, and I like him. I'm not saying he's a bad manager. I'm just all I think is, are there, in terms when it comes to keeping players fit and injuries and things like that, is there the similar concerns having someone like Iraola as there is to having Ange Postecoglou with the amount of injuries Bournemouth have? I think the stats show that they're, in terms of how much they run and the amount of sprints they make, it's similar level to what Spurs do under Ange Postecoglou as well.
I thought that graph said it was lower.
But if you actually, it depends what you look at, because there's a graph I saw in terms of the actual number of sprints. They're right at the top with Tottenham during the game. That graph was like amount of sprints, in possession, out of possession, all these different things. But there was another graph that Sky Sports released that showed the actual just number of sprints overall during games, and Bournemouth are just second to Tottenham, I think, in quite similar, and but both of them are quite outliers.
So why in the other graph would it be significantly less of both in and out of possession?
I don't know. I'm just saying what Sky Sports
One of them
showed.
must be wrong then.
I don't know what I think Bournemouth. Look, we know Bournemouth play a high intensity system. They run a lot. It's no surprise, and they've also got, I think, 7-8 injuries, and a lot of them are muscle injuries as well right now. Obviously, they're playing one game a week. They're able to handle it a lot better than Tottenham are right now. But obviously, and it's also unlikely we are going to have European football next season anyway. So bringing Iraola with one game a week, I mean, maybe there aren't too many issues there. But once you put European football in there, are they going to run into similar issues? I mean, there's a possibility that might be the case, to be honest. Is there an argument to say, even if we do run into that issue, he can handle it better than Ange has? Probably, maybe. I think he suggested this. I mean, his suggestion, from what you can see, with even under an injury crisis this season, that they've handled it better. But I also think, what players have been injured, are they as important? All these different aspects. After really analyse Bournemouth's injuries, and not all I know is really the amount. I don't really know who's injured and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the only real important players that have been injured is Evan Nilsson. Apart from that, I think it's all kind of fringe players.
So I guess. It's different, I guess, but why all these fringe players? Why they got so many injuries with the fringe players? It's hard to put your. I mean, I have to analyse it. Is it because of the running? Are they just unlucky? I don't know, but my only point is, if you're calling for Iraola and you're blaming Ange for all the injuries, is it likely we could run into similar issues under Iraola? I think evidence suggests yes, I would say. That's all I'm saying. But I like Iraola, and I think he'd be a good manager for us.
But also, I think he's also got more experience in top level kind of football. Iraola, as Postecoglou, obviously he's done well in the likes of Australia and Japan and Scotland.
National team.
And the national team. But I think that you look at the jobs that Iraola did. Yeah, they were kind of not the best teams in Spain, but I think he did really good jobs with like Real Vallecano.
Yeah, but it's different taking a team like that to where they are mid-table to where we want to be, challenging right at the top. That's also a different level. But look, this isn't me saying Iraola is a bad appointment or anything. I like him. I think he'd be a good appointment for Tottenham. And sure, I think if we do let go of Ange, he should probably be top of the list. I'm just making my point that if you put the blame on the injuries on Ange, I think you could run into similar problems with Iraola.
Let's talk about some players who we could potentially be targeting in the summer. Dario AS claimed that Manchester United and Tottenham are looking to sign Cunha from Wolves in the summer. I read a report a couple of days ago about the clause that's been put in his contract for the summer. Apparently, he's got a release clause for about 65, 66 million in his contract for the summer. And I think that's something Spurs could actually activate if we really wanted to. And if he's open to joining Tottenham, I think he's one that we should definitely be looking to sign.
Yeah, I'd love Cunha at Tottenham. If there's going to be a lot of competition for a signature, you'd think the season he's had at Wolves, he's been astonishing, a real standout player for them, and he's improving year on year. He's got unbelievable ability. So I think, yes, I think I'll definitely take him at Tottenham. Can I see him choosing Tottenham? I think it'll be a tough sell if there are clubs in the Champions League looking to get a signature. I think it's going to be a tough sell. But if the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool and City and whoever else get in the Champions League, if they're not interested, then we could put our hat in the ring.
The thing is, I don't know if Liverpool go for him. I don't know if Arsenal go for him either. There were reports about Arsenal, but I believe that Arsenal's number one choice has been and will be Sesko in the summer, and there has been significant talks between Arsenal and Sesko, and I believe they go for him over Cunha. So I mean, I don't think Spurs are in a terrible position in terms of the queue for Cunha. It just depends if a team like Chelsea or something come in for him.
That's the thing. But no, I love the idea of it.
Next up, we're going to talk about Jamie Gittens. There's one report that says that Tottenham have joined Arsenal and Chelsea in the race for Gittens this summer. Jack Pitbrook also says that Tottenham's recruitment department identified two profiles of winger in Borussia Dortmund's Jamie Gittens and AC Milan's Samuel Chukwueze as targets in the January window, but neither move materialised. So it could potentially be these two players that Spurs are going to be looking at for the winger targets in the summer.
Yeah, and I like definitely I like Gittens. Chukwueze, I liked him at Villarreal. I think AC Milan is maybe have a bit of a mixed time, but again, profile of the winger, very good at dribbling. I think he can be deadly in the final third. I think he's decent, but I think he's maybe been a bit up and down at Milan. But I think Gittens would definitely be the one I'd go for. I think he's been brilliant for Dortmund. He's such a young player as well. I think he's got star quality, and I think he's another rising star. I think.
You know why else this is interesting? Because if Borussia Dortmund, and who are not doing well this season in the league, they're currently 11th, and if they don't get European football for next season, I've been reading report and some news that they're going to have to sell players significantly to balance the books. So if that is the case, which it doesn't look like they're going to get Europe, then it could be, quite a realistic option that Spurs or anyone could start poaching some players off Dortmund.
Yeah, we'll love that. But again, it's another teenager, but yeah.
Well, he's 20 now.
Oh, is he 20 now?
Yeah.
Well, not a teenager anymore then.
Yeah, he's 20. By the start of next season, he'll be 21. Bild are reporting that Tottenham are keen on signing Bayer Leverkusen defender Piero Hincapié at the end of the season. Tottenham are long admirers of the Ecuador international, and they tried to sign the player back in 2023 as well. The defender has a long-time contract with the German club, and they want 70 million euros for him. It'll be interesting to see if Tottenham are prepared to pay the asking price for the player. I mean, we made an offer of close of that to Mark Gehi in just now in the January transfer window. So is that a price that Spurs will balk at?
Hopefully not. I like Hincapié. I'll find it hard to believe Hincapié would come, challenging for titles at Leverkusen and being in Champions League to come to Spurs if we're not in Europe next year. So again, it'll be another tough sell to show him that we're a club that are on the up and worthy of him making that move from Leverkusen, who are clearly a team, in a good form at the moment, albeit whether Alonso's there next season remains to be seen. But I love Hincapié. I think, especially if we were to keep Ange, I think he'd be perfect for us. Absolutely, either playing at left back or centre back. I think he'd be the perfect fit. But I think another player will probably be in demand if he's up for sale, and I don't know if Tottenham are the most attractive club right now.
But you say demand, but how many teams are going to splash out that kind of money on him?
Yeah, maybe we'd be the only one prepared to do so. Maybe.
And also, you're looking at, can we convince him to come here? Well, yeah, which is definitely a big question mark. But also, money does talk sometimes. And with him being on around 70,000 euros per month at Bayer Leverkusen, that is something that we can significantly improve.
True. I would love him. But I think, all these players who are going to have, I think, races to get him and things like that, they're not going to make these decisions early. It'll be in the summer, and whether, we have to see what kind of position we are in the summer, I think.
And last but not least, a Milan publication say that Spurs are carefully assessing the situation of 22-year-old USA international Yunus Musah, who has impressed both in midfield and on the right wing this season for Milan. Milan did refuse to sell Musah to Napoli last summer due to the trust the management had in him. However, with growing interest from the Premier League, the Serie A club may be tempted to sell the versatile midfielder this summer. He is a player that came through the Arsenal academy, which is interesting, and he's also a player which we all know that Mauricio Pochettino is managing with the USA squad. I haven't seen him play too much. I don't know too much about him, but there are links between Spurs and Musah at the moment.
Yeah, he seems to be quite a good box-to-box ball carrying kind of midfielder, but again, as you say, he's been playing out wide a lot, so that maybe influences a lot of the stats I'm looking at right now. But yeah, I don't know too much about him. I don't know if he'd be a good fit for what we want, or is he just kind of someone to improve the depth rather than the first team. I think that's probably what it hints at, but maybe Poch can bring him with him in a couple of years.
They're signing him for Poch.
Exactly.